my dear children, so here I am with the fourth video and the last video of the video series on conservation of plants and animals, class 8 science. And what are we going to do in today's video? It is all about questions, because in the last 3 videos we covered the entire theory, the concepts, examples and all of it. So now is the time to see where do we stand, how much do we know. So let us look at some very interesting and important questions, and with that, let's get started.
Question number 1. Fill in the blanks. A place where animals are protected in their natural habitat. So whenever you protect an animal in their natural habitat, it is going to be a wildlife sanctuary. So these are sanctuaries. Species found only in a particular area is known as those species which are unique to a particular location. They are called endemic species. For example, the flying squirrel and the giant squirrel of the Panchmari National Park. Migratory birds fly to faraway places because of... Now, what are these migratory birds? Now, birds which change their shelter as the environment conditions changes. Now, sometimes in some regions, the climate changes seasonally. So these birds, they will fly away from that location and they'll move to a new location where there is favorable climatic condition. So their main cause of migration, that is movement from one place to another, is climatic changes. Question number 2. Differentiate between the following: wildlife sanctuary and biosphere reserve. So wildlife sanctuary is comparatively smaller, biosphere reserve is larger. It is so large that it can include a couple of wildlife sanctuaries within it. Wildlife sanctuary primarily protect animals in their natural habitat, and in this case human interference is not allowed, like hunting, poaching. In fact, human entry and disturbing the animals is also not allowed. Human beings are only allowed to enter as visitors, and they can just look at the animals present inside the sanctuary. But in biosphere reserve, they not only protect animals but also plants and human settlements. Like there are many tribal areas also which are present within the periphery of biosphere reserve. So human settlement, they have access to the animals which live within the biosphere reserve. Flora and fauna. So flora is for the plant species which are present in a particular area, and fauna is the corresponding term for the animal species. Flora, they prepare their own food because green plants are capable of performing photosynthesis, but fauna, they are animals and they depend on flora, that is the plants, either directly or indirectly. Zoo and wildlife sanctuary. So if you talk about zoo, here ex situ conservation technique is followed. That is, animals are not in their natural habitat. So they live in captivity inside cages. But in wildlife sanctuary, they live freely in their natural habitat. So this is natural habitat, but this is not natural habitat. It is artificially created habitat. So when you want lions to be present inside a zoo, so you have to create an atmosphere surrounding the lion that it is its habitat, so that it is able to survive there. Zoo might breed or trade animals. Animals also get traded in a zoo. For example, you would have seen many circus companies and also they show you many performances using animals like elephants, lions and tigers. So many times they take these kind of animals from zoo. So in zoo, these kind of trade happens. In fact, forcefully breeding animals also take place so that smaller animals are born and they can be used to entertain kids who are coming to the zoo. So that way, forceful breeding or trading of animals happen in zoo, but nothing like this happens in a wildlife sanctuary. Because wildlife sanctuary is like a natural place for animals, so nobody can bother or disturb them. Endangered species and extinct species. So endangered species are those species whose numbers are decreasing but they are still there. But extinct species, their number have decreased to 0, so they do not exist anymore. So example of extinct species are dinosaurs, and endangered species may be a Bengal tiger, which still exists but they are very less in number, so they might become extinct any day. Question number 3. Discuss the effects of deforestation on the following. So what is deforestation? It is nothing but cutting down of forests on a large scale. So what will happen? What will be the result of deforestation on wild animals? Now, if you clear down the entire forest, so the animals will lose their habitat. So loss of habitat is one consequence, and lack of food. So the animals will not be able to get their food. So these will be the consequences on wild animals. Environment. Now, when a large number of plants are being cut down, so there is nobody to take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Therefore, the carbon dioxide will increase in the atmosphere. So this will result in global warming, because carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, that is, it absorbs infrared radiation. So that means it will increase the average temperature of the earth. It will cause global warming. It will also disturb the food chain, because when plants are being cut down, there are so many other animals which are directly or indirectly dependent on plants for their food. So the entire food chain will get disturbed. Villages, what kind of effect will it have on the villages? So here they will have high probability of floods, as I have mentioned before also, because due to the presence of plants, they hold the soil tightly and prevent it from being carried away by rainfall. And also the water retaining capacity of the soil is more when there are more plants. Now when all the plants are being cut down, the water holding capacity of the soil reduces. Therefore, whenever there is rainfall, it all remains on the surface, and that's how it leads to flood. Crop productivity is adversely affected because soil erosion takes place. That is, soil gets easily carried away by water. So since the soil quality is not good, soil fertility is not there, so the crop productivity is also not good. Its effects on cities. Now, since in villages agriculture will get adversely affected, so therefore there will be no proper food supply to the cities. So the food supply will get affected, because end of the day grains, vegetables, everything come from agriculture. It will also cause environmental pollution due to increased level of carbon dioxide. On the earth as a whole, it will cause global warming, again due to increased level of carbon dioxide, increased greenhouse gas, because carbon dioxide is a very significant greenhouse gas. It will also disturb the entire ecosystem, that is dependency of different living organisms on each other, so that will get disturbed. How will it affect the next generation? So if we cut down all the trees, so what will be left for the next generations? Because in the next couple of years, the environment will get completely polluted due to increased level of carbon dioxide. The temperature of the earth will also increase due to global warming, and survival of life would become more challenging. Because as the environment becomes less suitable, so survival of living organisms will become more difficult. So this is how deforestation is going to have harmful effects on various things. Question number 4. What will happen if we go on cutting trees? That is basically deforestation. Some of the effects would be loss of species, because they will lose their shelter and also they will lack food. Soil erosion, because the roots of the plant hold the soil tightly. Now there is nothing to hold the soil, so the soil will get carried away by water. Increased carbon dioxide concentration, because plants utilized carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Now there is nobody to utilize carbon dioxide. Lowered groundwater level. Here also the water retaining capacity of the soil will reduce if plants are cut. Therefore the groundwater level will reduce. The entire forest ecosystem will get spoiled, because when the plants are not there, other animals living in the forest will also face difficulty. Possibility of flood increases, possibility of drought increases. Why these increases? This we know due to because water holding capacity of the soil reduces, water holding capacity decreases. And why the possibility of drought increases? That's because plants also contribute. So the contribution of moisture decreases, because plants used to release some water into the atmosphere by the process of transpiration. But now when the plants are not there, so the contribution of moisture into the atmosphere decreases. Now less moisture in the atmosphere would mean less clouds, would mean less rainfall, that is possibility of drought. So these are some of the adverse effects of cutting down trees. What will happen if the habitat of an animal is disturbed? So if an animal's home is disturbed, the animal might become extinct, because if they are already lesser in number, so their number will reduce all the more, they can even become lost. The top layer of soil is exposed. If the top layer is exposed, it can get very easily carried away by water. So the soil fertility will be reduced, because the top layer contains humus, which gives fertility to the soil. So the fertility will be reduced, and if soil fertility is reduced, then the crop productivity will also be reduced. Answer in brief. Why should we conserve biodiversity? Now these we have already discussed, but a quick recap. First of all, because it gives us a better environment, it gives us more stable biological community, because when you have a large variety of organisms, so obviously there are more organisms one particular organism can depend upon. So the stability of the entire community increases. Increased diversity results in increased productivity, because each group of organism is going to produce something. So the net productivity is going to increase. Ensure sustenance of all life forms, because as we saw in the food chain, that different organisms depend on other organisms for their food. So when you have more variety of organisms, so your options for dependence also increases. So that varies, it helps in better sustenance of different life forms. Protected forests are also not completely safe for wild animals. Why? That's because even if the forests are protected, but still there is human interference, but still human beings enter inside the forest due to meet their own needs for their interest. They cut down forest, and that's how they become unsafe for wild animals. Some tribal depend on the jungle. How? Now, some tribal people who are a part of, for example, the biosphere reserves, so they utilize jungle in a number of ways. For example, they obtain their wood from jungle, which is used as a fuel for cooking purposes. They also use various plant parts for medicinal purposes. Like some plant parts are used as, they act as good antibiotics. Some plant parts have some other benefit. They also use various plant parts as source of food, like fruits or vegetables, so they can be used as a source of food. What are the causes and consequences of deforestation? Causes, some of the important causes are overpopulation. Due to increasing population, the needs are increasing. Therefore, to meet the needs, forests are being cut down. Agriculture, human settlements, these are some of the needs which arises due to overpopulation. Human settlement, making furnitures, fuel, industrial setup. Forest fire. So forest fire could be a natural cause also. It is not necessary that it has to be a human activity. Sometimes when the temperature becomes very high, there are chances that the forest might catch fires. And consequences, we have discussed it quite a number of times. Loss of species, because they lose habitat, soil erosion, increased concentration of carbon dioxide. This in turn will lead to global warming over a longer period of time. Lowered groundwater level, forest ecosystem will be spoiled, flood will increase, drought will also increase. What is Red Data Book? So it is a book which has the lists of all the endangered species. Now, why is it important to list down all the endangered species? So that we can save them from being extinct. Because these species, if they are not taken proper care, they might become lost, they might become extinct. So it is very important to keep a list of all the endangered species so that special attention can be given to them. So this book was first released in the year 1963. What do you understand by the term migration? Migration is nothing but movement from one place to another. So there are some animals which move from one place to another seasonally. That means only during unfavorable conditions. So wherever they stay in one season, whenever the environment or climate becomes very unfavorable, they move to some other place due to the climatic changes. So they move to a favorable place in search of food and shelter, because where they were staying so far, that place become unfavorable for their survival. Now, migratory birds are very common. Question number 7. How can you contribute to the maintenance of green wealth of your locality? Make a list of actions to be taken by you. What do you mean by green wealth? Green wealth is nothing but green trees and plants all around in your locality. So what can you do? Plant more trees so that you have more green wealth, you have more trees. Stop cutting down trees. So whichever trees already exist in your locality, take care of them and do not cut them. So that means you are just adding to the number of trees. Spread awareness among planting more and more trees. So it is not only you who has to do this, even everybody has to participate in this process of reforestation, so that whatever deforestation we have done in the last 100 years, at least we can compensate some part of it. We already saw, right, the percentage of forest area has reduced from 30% to 19% in 100 years. So we need to compensate that. So for that we have to plant more and more trees. So you plant trees and you also tell others to plant trees and stop cutting down trees. Question number 8. Explain how deforestation leads to reduced rainfall. So rainfall happens. How this happens? It happens due to precipitation. So the clouds which remain there on the sky, so these clouds only fall on the surface of the earth as rainfall. Now, green plants, how do they help in the formation of clouds? They also add some moisture, some water to the atmosphere by the process of transpiration. Now, there are small openings on the leaves of plants called stomata, and through these stomata, water is released to the atmosphere. So that's how green plants contribute to moisture in the atmosphere. Now, when green plants are all cut during deforestation, the number of green plants reduces. Therefore, the amount of moisture in the atmosphere also reduces, because those who were contributing to moisture, they are no more there. So the moisture content will also reduce. So therefore, the clouds will reduce and therefore the rainfall will be reduced. So this is how deforestation can cause less rainfall. Question number 9. Why should paper be saved? Prepare a list of ways by which you can save paper. Now let us see, how do we get paper? How is paper manufactured? So the raw material which is used for manufacturing paper in factories is nothing but wood pulp. So that means the more paper you want to manufacture, the more wood pulp you will need. Now in order to get more wood pulp, you need more trees. So you will actually end up cutting more and more trees. So it is very important that we use paper judiciously, so that we have to cut less trees. Now, some of the ways by which we can reduce or we can save paper is stop unnecessary usage of paper. Like in many cases where there is no need to use paper, let's stop using it. For example, while booking your tickets, if you can book your tickets online and you can get your ticket online, then there is no need of getting a printout, because these days you get your ticket in an email or in your mobile phones. So please do not waste paper in that case. In many cases, you can submit your assignments or you can submit your application forms online. So there also you can save some paper. For example, when you want, many a times it has been seen that people take printout unnecessarily. So if you feel that taking a printout is not required, then please do not take it. Try to utilize the paper more effectively. For example, when you use your notebooks, do not leave a lot of empty pages, because you are actually wasting paper. So try to utilize it at its best. So that is one way by which we can stop unnecessary usage of paper. So that way also we can reduce the need to a large extent. Second is recycle paper. So paper once used in some way, try to use them in some other way. For example, your notebook, when you have already written in your notebook and all the pages are full, so you cannot rewrite over them. So what can you do? You can use the same pages to prepare envelopes. You can use them to prepare paper bags. So that way you can use those kind of papers, or you can use them to cover smaller books. So try to use the paper for multiple purposes, and in that way also we can reduce the need of having more paper. So when we can use paper less, or if we can save paper, in that case our need for paper will reduce. Because paper production involves a lot of things. The factories, they will throw some chemicals which will cause pollution. Again, during the manufacturing of paper, electricity will be used, water will be used. So if we can reduce the entire process, so everything, in all ways it will be beneficial to the environment. Question number 10. Complete the word puzzle. Down. Number 1, where is number 1? This is 1. Species on the verge of extinction. So those who are about to get extinct, because they have remained in very lesser numbers. So they are called endangered species. So this will be endangered. 2. This is your 2. A book carrying information about endangered species. So just now we spoke about it, the red book. So why do we have this book? This is your red data book. So this is red data book. So why do we have this book? So that we know which are the endangered animals and we can take special care of them so that we can conserve them. 5. Consequence of deforestation. So one of the consequence of deforestation, where you have the third letter as S. So due to deforestation, soil erosion can take place. So the chances of the water retaining capacity of the soil reduces. So gradually the soil fertility goes off, and as a result the fertile land gets converted into deserts. That is called desertification. So desertification is a consequence of deforestation. So this will be desert. Now let us look at the across columns, rows rather. Number 1, so here is 1. Species which have vanished. So they are already gone. So they are extinct species like the dinosaurs. Number 3, species found only in a particular habitat. So they are exclusively found in a particular location. They are called endemic species. Number 4, variety of plants, animals and microorganisms found in an area. So that is called biodiversity. That is the variety of living organisms that would include plants, animals and microbes in a particular area. So with this we have reached towards the end of this lesson, and I hope that this lesson on conservation of plants and animals would have helped you. Now, some of the points which you have learned out of this discussion on biodiversity conservation is that we should always try to do our best from our side so that we can help in conserving biodiversity, and also we can help to keep our environment cleaner, like stop unnecessary usage of paper, plant more trees, stop cutting down trees, stop wastage of any natural resources.
I hope you found the video useful, and if you really understood the concept well, do write in the comment section that concept hua crystal clear. And I will see you all very soon with a new topic and a new video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.